Hello, everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching Barry, Season 3, Episode 2, Limonada.
I'm going to be really sad if we lose Cristobal.
Yes. Now I am. I didn't really care about him very much in Season 2. Now that he and Noho Hank are in love, I'm going to be really sad if he has to go back to Bolivia.
Yeah, he like really endeared himself big time. So I'm going to be very, very sad if we lose him.
In one episode, essentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That would be a huge bummer. I agree with you. So Sally's still making her show. I guess it has been bought.
Yes.
Because the thing we get in this episode is that they have to move up the release date and they have to do a junket because there's another show that another network bought that's called Pam!
With an exclamation point.
And it's also about an abusive relationship and but the graphics for it, every part of it is Sally's like, that's a show about abuse.
Yeah, she's got a giant martini glass with like a giant olive in there.
Yeah.
And she has a daughter too. Huh.
So, Sally's freaking out. But yeah, it's like a whole thing. I'm still interested in the way this TV show is going because she seems to be doing a really good job making this TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find interesting. And she has surrounded herself with women.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like she's still, based on the way she talked to Darcy Carden, she's like doing parts of it wrong. But she's doing parts of it okay. And like mostly right. But, okay. So last week, Barry was like, I have a way for you to earn your forgiveness to Jean. And it turns out that he wants to get, he thinks if he can get Jean a part on Sally's TV show, or like a part at all, and like help get his career back, Jean will forgive him. And that's like wildly oversimplifying a lot of human emotions because Barry doesn't have those like normal people.
Right.
So meanwhile, he will not let Jean ride in the front of the car. He keeps putting him back in the trunk, which is hysterical to me. And so Sally can't get him apart because she tried already. She like wanted to. And Barry kind of loses it.
No, he doesn't kind of. He
really loses it.
He fully loses it on her.
He like screams at her. Elsie Fisher said he had her pinned against the wall and he backed her up to the wall. He wasn't like physically pinning her to the wall.
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction, not to like negate his bad behavior, but he wasn't like, choking her or like pushing her on the wall, but she was backed up into the wall. I mean, it's great work from Bill Hader, but it is so scary. And it's like in the midst of this, every time we've seen her rehearsing for her TV show, it's the point where she's telling Elsie Fisher, you're doing this for the apology, which was like the big hinge point of her like one woman show she was doing previously. And I think it's really fascinating because then for the rest of the episode, I thought she was ordering prop food.
So did I.
I need spaghetti.
Or like she was ordering for herself.
Yeah. Well, she said something that she was like, carbonara is too fancy. I just need like spaghetti. Don't you have a kids menu? And I was like, oh, it must be for the man playing her husband in the show. That's what I assumed. But it turns out the whole time she is like getting stuff for Barry. So she's doing the same things that she did before in her abusive relationship, except what's interesting to me is that she's expecting the apology from him on the phone and he doesn't say anything and you kind of see it register on her face that he didn't apologize. So then it's sort of like, what's she still doing it for? But it's like she's bought him the spaghetti. She's got it and a beer open on the table waiting for him. She bought him a new Xbox controller. And it's like, I don't know. It's not funny. Like, it's not funny, haha, but it's kind of funny watching her just fall right back into it after she's tried to be strong and she's talked about how like she wished she could have been strong and like it's just none of those things.
Yeah, and so I'm curious too if it's because she got the apology after the physical and because this hasn't been physical yet.
Interesting.
That's maybe it's like, oh, well, okay, he doesn't think it's that bad yet, so he doesn't think he needs to apologize to me.
Could be.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, so it's just It's just so easy to fall back into those routines.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I'm getting out. If I get all of the things, I'm getting out in front of it. And so he won't be mad later. He can't be mad at me when he gets home. Because
she says, like, she's like, are you mad at me? Or like, I mean, it's like, and she's like, I love you. And he's just like, he literally is like, whatever. And I think what's especially fascinating, and I think it appeals to her, this is the first time he's been assertive with her. Because that's, I think, what she likes about him is that he lets her do whatever.
Runs roughshod all over him.
She manages the relationship, and she manages how much time they put into it and how much, everything. It's like she's in a relationship that she has created to be convenient for her.
Right.
And so I actually think she finds it appealing that he has sort of stood up for her and yelled and done something. But that's also so damaging, especially for someone like Sally, who we know from past experience can't always stand up for herself when it matters.
Right. And then Elsie Fisher says something to the writer and another person on like a PA. And she's like, we need to report him. And he was like, she was like, well, he doesn't work for the show. We can't go to HR. And then it was like, did he hit her? Did he do this? Did he do that? And she's like, well, no. But it was like he was yelling at her and he had her pinned up against the wall. It was really scary. And she was like,
the PA is just like, we can't do anything.
And the writer's like, they're adults. They'll figure it out. So
and I like my job.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's just reinforcing to Elsie Fisher. It's like, well,
the cycle.
Yep.
And it's not helping Elsie Fisher, who's a young woman in this scenario. She's like, I want to do the right thing. She's like, that was scary. That's not right. And then it's like these two older women are like, you can't, there's nothing to do about it. And so it's just like next time it happens, then Elsie Fisher is caught up in the cycle and she can't do anything moving forward about anything.
Yeah. And like the fake TV show they're making, it's about standing up for yourself and doing what's right. But the reality of the situation is just you're stuck in a cycle and no one can do anything.
It's a big bummer.
Yeah. Big bummer.
So you mentioned Cristobal. He and Hank are like trying to play hooky and stuff. And he's like, say that you have to drive all the way to Redlands so that you can come see me instead and we can spend all day together. And then Cristobal's family, or like
the head of the
family, Miguel Sandoval, he comes, they all come to town. Cristobal's just trying to buy a cup of lemonade from the girls across the street. And they're trying to bring him home because apparently he has a wife and kids, and his wife is Fernando's daughter. So they're trying to bring him home. He hasn't gotten a foothold enough in Los Angeles, and all of his men are dead and everything. And he and Hank are texting because they were going to go kill
all the Chechens.
But he got Hank out, essentially. There's only 4 of them. It's Hank and 3 other dudes.
Yeah.
That's it. And so he got them out, and they're doing like a Los Angeles tour or whatever, and they meet up later. And yeah, I mean, it sucks. I would also be sad. I don't want him to go, for sure. But also, I mean...
Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Yeah. I mean, it's 2 rival families, unless, Hank sells out Barry for killing everybody. But I don't think that would happen.
Which, I mean, maybe, but at a certain point... Hank and Barry I feel like narratively they have to work together again. I don't think that scene in the premiere last week was the last they're going to interact.
Oh, no. Well, and especially if Cristobal's gone, Hank doesn't effectively have like a purpose anymore. Yeah. So, he's not going to have anyone to really lean on. Because, I mean, I don't think he gives a shit about Batir. So,
no, not really.
Yeah.
So, and then Barry has an audition.
This man stays getting auditions.
It's because he's tall and he's kind of intense sometimes. Also, we find out, I don't know if we knew this before, but apparently Gene Cousineau is like he made his own bet about the acting.
I mean, I feel like you kind of get that idea because, those who can't teach.
Sure, but it's not so much that he can't do it. It's that he's an asshole.
Well, yeah, that's part of the camp.
When he doesn't,
he can't play the game.
Cast. Yeah. So nobody wants him. Everybody's got a different story. He called her a donkey witch, like all kinds of stuff. And so the first lady that was casting the Jay Roach movie last season was like, it's a hard limit. I will not work with him. Absolutely not. Get out of here. But you can read for this. And so then when he gets to those casting directors, he essentially gets it to a point where he's like, I just need you to like consider Gene Cousineau for this extra part. And he ends up selling it enough that they give him the part.
Because it's beautiful and rad, man.
Fucking California dudes.
Yeah.
But then when Barry gets back to the car, Gene has escaped from the trunk because he's still in the trunk. So he is chasing him around and he beats Gene to Gene's son's house. Or
Gene's house? We don't know.
To Gene's house, we're not sure.
Yeah.
And I do and don't like this because I still don't, even though he's like off the rails and he's very manic, I still don't believe that Barry would kill a child.
No, because he wouldn't kill
the girl,
Ronnie's daughter.
Yeah, Lily. Yeah. So I still, even no matter how manic he is, I don't think he's reached that point yet, at least. And he basically tells Gene, he was like, I got you this role. It's whatever. But like, if you try to go to the cops, I will kill your son and your grandson.
Well, and he's even like, if you don't enjoy the benefits of being given a second chance, then these two go away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ooh.
You're not doing it 100% right, Barry.
No.
And then, I mean, I'm going to say it every week, apparently. Some of the best work from Bill Hader.
Oh, my gosh.
Ever. Because 3 times he tells Gene, he says, I love you, Mr. Cousineau. And he's so sincere. He changed his life when he stumbled in that acting class. Mm-hmm. And then, but then he makes Gene say it back. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It's so much.
It is. I mean, Barry is like kind of a psychopath.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you kind of have to be. I think in order to like be a successful, like a sniper, especially, which he was a sniper.
Yeah, your like empathy gets hella scrambled.
Yeah, and so I mean that's definitely. But the thing is like I can't for the life of me think that he's a bad man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I think he just doesn't understand partially.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think there's a level of him that's just broken. His humanity is broken.
Yeah.
But because there's this awareness that he knows that something is wrong, because anytime anyone tries to say you're a good person, he's like, not that, and that seems to be his trigger.
Yeah.
Where it's like, nope, well, now I have to prove to you that I'm a bad person. So he knows that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But it seems like he can't reckon when that side, like, when that switches.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting because like you said, I don't think he's inherently a bad person. I just think that like brain got a little broken.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's crazy. I love the show. Next week it looks like Sally's junket.
Yeah.
So
that's gonna be a hot mess.
I can't wait.
I know, me
because
too.
I think Sarah Goldberg is so good at being Sally, but Sally is just
the worst. TM.
So just like unabashedly an actress.
Oh yeah.
And it's like when she starts talking about, Elsie asks her about the writing process, and she's like, "Oh, you just like go where it leads you, and like whatever
you just
feels
have to
true."
Be honest.
And
yeah,
I'm just like yeah.
Ay.
So yeah, that was pretty much it for this episode. Again, super good. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah. We'll be back next week.
Yes, we will.
Bye.
Bye.